Masechet Zevahim Daf Petet Amud Aleph New Perek Kol Atadir Me'Haviro Kodem Haviro. Any korban that's more frequent than the other one goes first. Hatmidin Kodmin Musafin. Korban Tamid goes before the Musaf. Musaf Shabbat Musaf Shabbat Kodmin Musaf Rosh Chodesh goes before Rosh Chodesh Musaf because again these are more frequent. Musaf Rosh Chodesh and Musaf Rosh Chodesh Kodmin Musaf Rosh Hashanah comes before Rosh Hashanah Musaf. Rosh Chodesh is once a month. Rosh Hashanah once a year. Shnei Amar. Milev Ad Latabok Rosh Hashanah Tamid Ta'asu Et Ele. Okay, Gemara, Milan, how do you know this concept? Milan, what do you mean? كده كمان تمام لو عدد تمام بوكر سنين the pasuk says it. The Gemara says no. دل ما تمدين هن كدن musafim مش متدري. Maybe only tamid goes before musaf because it's more frequent. Musafim mean I don't know there's a concept of one musaf going before the other. The Gemara says the Gemara كرا كائلة تعسول يوم الشبعة يمين. إلا كائلة teaching you same halacha applies by different korbanot even musaf. The Gemara says عمي بعد الجوفة. That pasuk needs to tell me that halacha is a Musaf Korban is brought at the end of the day, each day of Pesach. The Gemara says, in Kenneth, that's the only halacha that is teaching us. And what would have it said? Nichtov ele ta'asu yom. The Torah should only written, it should make each day. But does it like it? It teaches you the same format. Dikatab ele ta'asu yom shabbat yamim. If it mentions only ele, havamina l'shiv'at hayamim in midyachim lo. You would have thought that maybe only during those days it is, but different days do not. Therefore, it teaches you that these days, like these, means teaching you that the seven korbanot of the week of Pesach is brought on the first day of each. On the first day it has to be brought on each of the 7 days. The Gemara says layom ktiv. No, the fact that it says each day teaches that as well. Therefore, the actual word ka'ela teaches you the frequency halacha. The Gemara says va'akati layom, but still. If you did not have the word ka'ela, you might have thought that it meant these, the seven korbanot throughout the day, is only for the first day. But the rest of the week, maybe you don't bring seven. Where it says, Amakrata Asiyot, the Pasuk says you shall make. Shiyakol Asiyot Shabbat, all the korbanot should be identical. Abayamar, this is different proof. Migufete Krabilan from the actual Pasuk itself. Because why? Imken. If you would have thought that only frequency applies to the Tamid, not the Musaf, Lema Kra Mille Varadot Boker, it only mentions it in the morning. Asher Lo Alat Tamid, why mention Tamid again? Lamali, Meimar the Hach to come Tidon, that must be there's a priority and a precedence for the Korban that is more frequent. No Mishnah, Kol HaMekudash Mehavirokot Mehavirot, if it's something more Kadosh than the other Korban, you bring the Kadosh one first. Dam Hatat, Kodem Dam Ola. The Hatat blood goes thrown on the Mizbeach before the Ola blood. Because it brings kapara. If the Ola Kodmin Lemiro Hatat, the burning of the Ola limbs is brought before the Hatat limbs. Because it is fairly burnt. Hatat Kodmet Asham, the Hatat goes before the Asham. Because its blood is thrown on four horns in the Mizbeach. The Ayisr and also on the base of the Mizbeach. Asham continues to the Nazir. The Asham goes before to the Nazir's ram because it goes in the category of Kodesh Kodashim. Toda ve'el Nazir kodmin Shlamim. Korban Toda and the Nazir's ram goes before the Shlamim. Because they are eaten for only one day, between lechem and they need extra bread. Hashemim kodmin the Bechor, but the Shlamim goes before the Bechor. Because they need four applications in the Bech. Unsachim to know what to have and they also need smicha on the animal, special libations, the wine and the water and the oil, and also you wave the chest and the thigh of the animal with the kohen. Habechor b'kol maaser, the bechor kol maaser, because the bechor is kadosh from birth and only eaten by the kohen. The maaser kol but the maaser goes before the bird korban because it's an animal. The eshpo kodem kodeshi kodesh kodeshim demo because it also has kodesh kodeshim and also the sacrificial parts and blood that are used. Ha'afot kodmin menachot, bird korbanot go before the mincha, because it's a creature, right? It's not just a the flat. I mean, it has a flower. The bird at least is a creature. V'chen behekdesh regarding to hekdesh has the same precedence. If someone wants to make a bird's hekdesh, like a hatat and olah, for example, you should make the hatat first before making the olah. Gemara on Amud Bet. Mina Mir, how do you know this concept of kedusha goes first? Tanabaran says, "Upar sheni ben bakar tikach lahatat." You should take a young bull and a second young bull as a hatat. Why second young bull? In Bala mentioned in front of me, they have to be two different bulls. How they call now? The pasuk already said, "Ba'aset ha'echad hatat v'ha'olah." Why mention again second example? You would have thought she had to come in You might think the halat service should be done before anything of the olah. The more the pasuk says, "Upar sheni ben bakar tikach hatat." You should take it as a hatat, teaching you that it goes after the olah. Ipar sheni ma, if you mention only the second bull, then what might have happened? Tamlamar, Va'aset ha'echad hatat ve'echad olah. You should make one hatat and one olah. How is that possible? Dam hatat okumet dam olah. Punishment said the blood of the hatat goes before the olah blood because the hatat brings kapara. Evrei olah, but the burning of the olah goes first because it is completely burnt. Vamai, how come four applications of blood makes it that it goes first? Matana kamaita de banachlo. Only the first throwing of the blood out of the four bring kapara. The rest don't do anything. Gemara says, Maravina, ha hatat leviim naskin. It's not a case where the hatat of the korban of the leviim, where there is no kapara. And the olad therefore technically is considered more comparable to an olad. There's no kapara. Kamar hana he dikdom Torah still says that it should be going first, and therefore they all go first, even though the blood applications do not bring kapara. Ma'avrin, and there's a different explanation. Ho'il v'hetchil b'matanot gomer. So once the Kohen begins with applications, you finish it. So yes, even though after the first one is not accomplishing anything technically in regard to kapara, still you just finish the process. Okay, by the way, I have a question. Dam hatat ve'evrei olah. The hatat blood and the burning of the olah limbs, as they what goes first? Dam hatat I said is the blood of the hatat go first because it brings kapara. Odima evrei olah maybe the olah goes first because you're burning it completely for Hashem. Hashma, being proved dam hatat dam olah. Blood hatat goes before blood olah. Dam olah who does only maybe it sounds like only blood goes first. Evrei olah look maybe not the limbs. Whereas adraba no. Mesefa bring an inference from the second part. Avrei olah could mean the hatat. Allah goes before hatat limbs. The Imre hatat who the sounds like only the limbs of the hatat goes first. The dam hatat lo but the blood does not go first. Ella mehala we can't bring a proof from here. Second question, Ibalahu. Let's try another inference. Dam olah Imre hatat. Blood olah and hatat sacrificial parts. As even when what goes first. Dam olah the ka'atim the olah go first because it's completely burnt. Or maybe Imre hatat could mean the maybe the hatat limbs go first because they come from a korban that brings kapara. Tashma bring a proof. Dam hatat kodim dam olah. Hatat blood goes before olah blood. Dam hatat who kodim dam olah. Maybe only the hatat goes blood first because it's olah. How about imrei hatat lo, but not the hatat limbs? Gemara says adraba. Mesefa, let's infer the opposite from the second part of Mishnah. Evrei olah could mean the hatat. Olah limbs go before hatat limbs. Every olah, who did cut hatat sounds like only the olah limbs go first. Avadam olah but not blood. Ella mehalak again, there's no proof from here because two different inferences teach you two different things. Next, Tashma bring a proof. Dam olah v'dam asham. Olah blood, asham blood. What goes first? Ezem mekodim. Dam olah the kodim that kati mikoach kalidus. The olah go first because it's completely burnt. Odim dam asham kodim. The mechaper maybe asham blood goes first because it brings kapara. Tashma bring proof from the first part of Mishnah. Dam hatat kodim dam olah. Blood hatat goes before olah blood. Seemingly only since it mentions hatat. Avadam asham lo, but it sounds like asham blood does not go before olah. Or it says bedin hu diba the mitri dam asham. No, that's not a good proof because technically the Tanakh had to mention asham blood. Va'adi diba the mitri sefa. Meaning the Tanakh should have mentioned Asham blood in the first place, but how come it didn't? Because they had to mention the second case. Evrei olah kodmin evrei hatat. The second case mentioned olah limbs before hatat limbs. The Tana Asham, and if you would have mentioned Asham in the second case, Havamina, you would have thought in the first case, Havamina, I would have thought the Imra Asham would have kind of only go before Asham, the Imra Hatat not come not in front of Hatat. Mishum Hachi Tana Hatat therefore mentioned Hatat in the first case as well. Okay. Tashma bring proof. Hatat kodim Asham, Hatat Hudi coming Asham, Abdullah lo, Ma'ilab dam. Next part of Mishnah said, Hatat goes before Asham. Sounds like the Hatat goes first, but not the Olah. Even the blood, no? Umar says, Blah. And I'm referring to the sacrificial parts. The economic time also proved from the learning of the Mishnah, they punish the Demani time because it mentioned the blood applied. So I mean, now we see from here the blood, the Mishnah is talking about the burning of the parts and not specifically to the application of the blood, and therefore there are no questions over here. Next part of Mishnah. Hatat goes first before the Asham because the blood put on four sides. The Gemara says, Adrabah, opposite. Asham katim sheken yesh lo kisbad. Asham should go first because it's automatically a minimum requirement of value that has to be worth two shekalim. That doesn't apply by a Hatat. The Gemara says, Afilu hachi ribu mitzveh hadif. Still, the fact that even though there's more value because there's physically more financial value, But still, the hatat's more Hashub because you're applying more of the blood onto the Bech. That's what we value. Not everything's that money. Oh, big lesson. Hashem goes to that mention Mishnah said Hashem goes before to that. Why? Hakudah in Nazir could mean shekin timin lechem. The Sudan Nazir should go first because you bring bread. Hashem no doesn't have bread. Gemara says afilu hachi koche kochim adifi. Still, since it's classified as a kosh kodashim, it still is higher level. Next, Tudah in Nazir, Tudah in Nazirim. They go before Shamim because they're eaten and for one day, and they also have bread. Gemara says, "Adarabba, Shamim kadmei shekin yeshnam b'tzibuk yachid." Shamim should go first because there's another type of korban shamim that is also applicable to a community and the individual versus Tudah Nazir only individuals. The Gemara says, "Afilu hachi ne'echlin yom echad adif." No, still, the fact that you have one day and one night to eat it is more significant versus the other korban which you can have two. The Gemara says, if I have a question, Tudah Nazir is in Tudah Nazir, which one goes first? Tudah kadma shekin tuna arba amin elechem. We say that the Tudah goes first because there's four types of bread, and the Nazir you only bring two types of bread. Or then maybe the Nazir should go first. Shekin yish imod maybe it should go first because it has other type of korbanot brought with it, and the Tudah doesn't have other korbanot brought with it. It only has blood. I mean bread. The Rashi Tashmat being proof. Zukun zu the Tudah goes first before the Nazir. Shezutu in arba min elechem because it has four types of bread. Vezu ina teuna ela shnei elechem binechem and the Nazir only has two types of bread. Hashlamim could be Bechor, mentioned before the Bechor because it has four bloods and other things. The Gemara says, Adraba, Bechor could them shekin shatul the Menachim Benechal Kohanim. The Bechor should go first because it has it's kadosh from birth and only eaten by Kohanim. The Gemara says, Afilu Hachi, mitzvot, yetirot adifi, but since there's more mitzvot by the Shamim, with the semicha, libations, and the waving of the chest and the thigh, it is more hashub. Have a chorkod and the bechor goes before the maaser. The maaser should go first. Maaser is kadosh because technically the person, the way they used to do maaser animals is they used to count one at a time. 10th one they used to mark. The guy made a mistake and he marked three animals in a row. Well, he marked number 9 or number 11. Whatever mistake he made, the 10th one is automatic kadosh because that's the 10th one. The one that made a mistake are also kadosh means because he painted them. So we see that there's a very, very stringency over here. I mean, that's why it should be first. The Gemara says, still, the fact that the Bechor is Kadosh from birth, it's more Hashub. Maaser, Kodem Na'afot, Maaser go before the bird because it is slaughtered. The Gemara says, Adarabba, Afot could make Shekin Kodeshim, the bird should go first because Kodesh Kodeshim. The Gemara says, Afilu Achi, Min Zevah Hadif, still, Maaser still goes first because it is an animal versus a bird.